Okay, there we go. All righty, so I'm Julie Wilson. I am a doTERRA Gold leader, and I'm so excited to be sharing this Quest series with you this month in April when we're quarantined at home. Quest stands for Quarantine Educational Series Track. And so last week we did Oils of the Bible. This week we are doing emotional and mental wellness. And so tonight and tomorrow night are a series in this. There are two sessions that will build off of each other, but they are both standalone as well. So everyone's muted right now, but you do have the ability to unmute yourself. We'll be together for about 40 minutes this evening, 35 to 40 minutes. And Kevin, my husband Kevin, will be monitoring the chat. So I encourage you, if you have questions, to just type them in the chat, and that way we'll make sure you get some answers for those. You can also always ask questions over in our Quest group. So we got outside today and got some vitamin D, and I got a lot of vitamin D there on my chest. It was so beautiful outside today, even though it was cool in our corner of the world. So let's talk a little bit about how you might be feeling. So earlier today in the Quest group, I posted like a mental wellness check-in, and I've seen a lot of those floating around right now because we're kind of in an unprecedented time. So maybe you're feeling like this. Anybody feel like that right now? Or maybe you're feeling like this. Maybe this looks like what's going on in your house. Or maybe you're feeling like this and it just fluctuates moment by moment. Maybe you're feeling like this because you're trying to work from home and there's lots of distractions going on every time you turn around, and the noise just never stops. And it's beautiful being together as a family, but at the same time, you're feeling like that Barbie who wants to rip her hair out. Or here's another scenario in that no matter how big your family is, it can be a lot of commotion when we're all sharing one space together. Or maybe you're feeling like this after a month's worth of groceries in your cabinets and they're kind of exploding all over your kitchen as you do all your meals at home right now. Conflict and stress, and a beautiful time can also be a stressful time. And there's lots of things that play into that. And I don't need to rehearse those right now because we're kind of all in the same scenario with adjusting to a new normal. So I want to just talk really quick about essential oils and talk about what they sort of, how they play into our wellness. And so if you're brand new to essential oils, what we're looking at right here is a peppermint plant. So essential oils are derived, they're nature's medicine, and they're derived from plant substances. So it can be bark, it can be petals, it can be roots, it can be leaves. And if you grow peppermint in your garden, or you've ever seen it as you're out walking or whatever, you may see a plant like you see on the left, even in your garden center. But then if you were to take a magnifying glass, this is what you're actually looking at, the little oil sacs close up on the leaf of the plant. And when those are punctured, it releases this beautiful essential oil, which in its pure form can have some amazing therapeutic benefits, especially when the care is taken to make sure that it grows in its indigenous environment and everything is pursued with purity and there are no fillers. Not all essential oils on the market are the same. I have a little video here on why choose doTERRA, but I think I'm actually going to post that in a group because we have a lot of material to cover tonight, and it's about 3.5 minutes long. So I'll post it over in the Quest group so you can watch it there. We tested this, and sometimes when I play videos through here, there's a little bit of a lag. So I feel like it'll be more beneficial if I post it in the group and you all can watch it there. But doTERRA oils is what I'm talking about tonight because it's what I use personally and I've had a lot of confidence in over the last 6 years. It's not the oils that I first experienced, and boy, could I tell a difference. Once I chose doTERRA, I never went back to what I was using before. But let's just move on past that and kind of jump right in tonight to give a little bit of groundwork in what we're looking at with mental health and wellness. So I'm not a scientist, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a nurse. I was a psychology major in college, so emotions, mind and emotions are very intriguing to me, but I'm coming to you as a mom who uses wellness solutions in my own family and who is passionate about sharing some of the things that I've learned with others. So I'm going to put some of these in here just so you know that doTERRA is a science company. So everything that we share, everything we teach about is founded and foundational on science that's behind it. But I'm going to briefly, I don't want you to get lost in the science. So I'm going to try to kind of breeze through it pretty quickly just to give you a basic understanding, because we're all kind of at different levels where that's concerned. But in case some of you are coming into essential oils saying, I don't really know if that works. Something that smells good, yeah, it's going to make my house smell good, but is it really going to do anything for my mind and emotions? I want you to know that there's scientific backing for this. So we have, one of the beautiful things about essential oils is that they're able to really work on a cellular level to help make your cells healthy. And so our bodies are these wonderfully, wonderfully complex things that there's lots of different things going on at one time. And so we have these wonderful conversations with lots of the nurses and doctors and nurse practitioners and medical professionals and psychiatrists on our teams, because it's so incredible some of the things that we experience with how essential oils can interact with our cells and help them to go to the root and address things on a cellular level. So basically our bodies are like one big computer with all of these memories that impact everything, that all of the responses in our system. So communication is key, not just in relationships, but also in our bodies. And our bodies, primarily the two ways that we know they most often communicate is through our hormonal system or our endocrine system. Anybody have any issues with hormones besides me? And the other way that they communicate is through our electromagnetic system, which would be like what signals the brain when you have a child who touches a hot stove and you want to say no, 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 but they actually have something in their brain where their finger tells their head that they just touched something that was hot, and you automatically pull your hand away. So those are the two ways that we communicate. And we have these receptor cells, and the receptor cells, so a hormone or a transmitter is the key that can affect a cell by binding to specific receptor molecules, which is a lock. So basically our bodies have these locks and keys that unlock certain things. And so when this happens in the cell membrane, the binding unlocks the cell's response so that the hormone or neurotransmitter causes changes in the cell. Okay, so that's basic science. So basically when the key is not the right key or it can't unlock, then it hinders the communication in our body. And that's when our bodies begin to break down, and we see some responses that are not so good responses. So we're going to talk about emotional versus physical responses later too. Cell receptors are very specialized, and there's hundreds of different kinds of them. Most respond to chemical substances, which can be hormones or drugs or allergens, while some even respond to pressure or light. Like our body produces vitamin D, which is why I'm burned, since I was sitting in the sun soaking up some vitamin D today. So vitamin D is the sunshine hormone. And so when sun hits your skin and it helps produce that vitamin D in your body, that hormone is responsible for so many things in your body operating healthily. So in fact, many drugs work by mimicking a naturally occurring hormone or neurotransmitter in the body. For instance, nicotine and morphine are referred to as agonists. They're drugs that can pick the lock. They're not the natural lock, but they can pick the lock. Some other drugs work the opposite. They're called antagonists, and they bind to the receptor but don't produce a response. So they prevent the receptor from binding to the normal hormone or transmitter, which inhibits the naturally occurring substance. An example of this is caffeine. Caffeine is a drug that jams the lock. Okay, so we want to find the right lock and key when our body's not communicating properly to be able to unlock some of those things. So let's look at cellular communication and essential oils. Oils interact with cellular receptor sites. They work on the cellular level. So they assist in proper cellular communication. So it's kind of like if you've ever had a computer that you had to defrag, so all the files could come closer together and you didn't have those empty missing spots that cause your computer to shut down and to run slowly. That's what happens when our bodies don't have the right lock and key. So oils are able to assist in this proper cellular communication so we can more effectively communicate the responses within our body. They assist in the activity of cells. They free up the receptor sites if they are blocked or preoccupied. They also have a very complex chemistry. They can, Kevin, I'm going to call you. I actually locked up the iPad. Can you come down and fix it so I don't have to stop teaching to fix it? Okay, so essential oils have a complex chemistry. They are actually able to, because they support the cell in this way, they can help to eliminate symptoms, which gives us a quick response. They assist, they do not cure, treat, or prevent disease, and we will never say that they heal, but they do impact the cell to help the cell return to its natural state of health so that the body can heal itself naturally the way that God created it to do. And they solicit a specific response that is measurable as well. If you're a science geek and you go to pubmed.gov, you will not only see a lot of drug studies, but you'll see a lot of essential oil studies on there because there's documented science behind how they work in our bodies. Let's go on to the next. So there are numerous studies on PubMed that demonstrate the benefits of aroma. That's why we call aroma therapy, right? So we've heard of that term. It is therapeutic in nature. Bring that down to me. Unglued. So the aromatherapy means that oils work in a therapeutic way. I'm going to try not to do this again. Normally I have paper notes instead of on the iPad, and I usually think I'm way more technology literate than what I end up being in the moment. Anybody else have that trouble? So let's talk really quick about the power of aroma. So I want you to think just about the difference. Thank you so much. The difference of a good aroma versus a bad aroma and the reaction that your body has to that. Okay. So let's talk about an impure aroma. Let's talk about, I don't know whose job it is in your house to take out the trash. Maybe it's yours, maybe it's somebody else's. But when you walk into a room and you smell some ripe trash there, what does it do? What kind of faces do you make when you smell that, and how does it make you feel, right? So it can create stress and be harmful. You can have the same kind of response if you smell chemicals or you smell cigarette smoke, maybe some kind of substance that your body isn't used to. It's very displeasing, and you show it in your face. If you have a pure aroma, something that you enjoy the aroma or the scent of, it's pleasing and it solicits this positive response. So it kind of makes you go, and you want to take a deeper breath and you enjoy that aroma. So doTERRA oils are pure, they're balanced and blended perfectly to produce this beautiful aroma. Of course, we all are wired differently, so all of us have our own opinions about the things that we enjoy smelling the most, but a pure aroma is much different than an impure aroma. So we have a sensory system that reacts to stimuli via these receptors that we were talking about. So one example is the ability to smell. So our nose plays a part in this aroma or aromatherapy. Now there's 3 different ways that you can use doTERRA essential oils, and that is they're super simple to use, and you can use them topically, aromatically, and internally if they're labeled to be used internally. However, tonight we're mostly going to talk about aroma, using them in an aromatic way. So one example of the way that the sensory system responds to these receptors is through the ability to smell. So this is called our olfactory system. So there's hair-like projections that are attached to receptor cells, and it binds with the aroma, the molecules of aroma, and generates an impulse which travels through our olfactory nerves until it reaches the olfactory bulb in our brain. And there, the signals are processed and passed on to other parts of the brain. So here's kind of what it goes into this limbic system from the olfactory system, and it settles here in our brain. So between the thalamus, we normally just talk about the amygdala, but there are other parts in our brain near our pituitary gland that play a part in this. And it is a complicated scenario how it works, but just to understand the connection between scent and emotion, we first need to mention an interesting and crucial region in our brain, which is called the hippocampus. The hippocampus is part of a network called the limbic system, and it's one of the most studied parts of the brain. You see it right there. And it's associated with the processes of feeling and reacting. The hippocampus also stores two types of memory, which is declarative and spatial. One is related to facts and events, and the other to pathways and routes. Also, this amygdala that you can see there at the bottom is what is actually connecting with your olfactory system and storing your mood and your memories, and all this works together to control emotions, memories, and hormones and our response to things. So I'm not sure if I'm going to have time to read this or not, but I would encourage you, if you struggle with your emotions, this is a book that I've had for a while, and I just got it out and started reading it again. It's by Lisa TerKeurst, and it's called Unglued: Making Wise Choices in the Midst of Raw Emotions. And so today, when I was reading it, she actually says, I'll just read this portion of it. I'm about to quote some research findings that are crucial to add here, especially for those of us who are interested in physiology and how God designed our bodies. It's complicated stuff, so don't get lost in the midst. Just hang for a few lines while I share what some really smart people are saying about some really amazing stuff. When we take in information in our body and activate an attitude, a state of mind, it influences our reaction to life. The then activated attitude, positive or negative, is transmitted from the thalamus, which you can see right there, which is like the air traffic controller for all the thoughts in our brain, down to the hypothalamus. The hypothalamus, an organ roughly the size of an almond, is the mini chemical factory in our brains where our thought-building processes happen. Signaled by the larger egg-sized thalamus to prepare a response to our thoughts, the hypothalamus determines the type and quantity of chemicals released into the body, thus greatly impacting how we function emotionally and intellectually. For instance, if you're anxious or worried about something, the hypothalamus responds to this anxiety with a flurry of stress chemicals. These chemicals engage the pituitary gland, the master gland of the endocrine system, and the endocrine system in turn secretes hormones responsible for organizing trillions of cells in your body to deal with impending threats. See how miraculously we're made? Negative thoughts shift your endocrine system to focus on protection and limit your ability to think with wisdom or to develop healthy thoughts. On the other hand, if you change your attitude and determine to apply God's excellent advice not to worry, the hypothalamus prompts the secretion of chemicals that facilitate feelings of peace, and the rest of the brain responds by secreting the correct formula of neurotransmitters that facilitate clear thinking. In short, God designed our bodies to respond to our thoughts. Negative thoughts lead to a crisis response, activating us physically, but hindering our thinking. Positive thoughts allow us to process a situation accurately and respond in a healthy way. Okay, so how do we do that? Because sometimes we just want to turn a switch on or off, but our brain gets away from us. So we're going to talk about some ways that we can influence our thinking. Now, if you were here for the Oils of the Bible series last week, we talked about how even oils have an electromagnetic frequency to them, and the ability to use them with negative versus positive thinking and the ability to use them with prayer changes the electromagnetic frequency and determines how effective they are on our body. So all of this works together so beautifully. Okay, so let's move on to talking about how we can affect this response in the olfactory system. So one of the ways that we can enjoy oils aromatically is by using a diffuser. So 3 of doTERRA's diffusers, 3 of my favorites actually, are posted here with a recommendation on how many drops. So when you use a diffuser, it's the quickest way to impact the mood of a whole room. We're all home together right now, so this is a great thing to have in our homes to impact the whole room that everybody is in, as well as us individually. So It distributes an essential oil or blend throughout the room. It helps uptake through the olfactory receptors that we talked about and delivers to the limbic system. So the aroma is going to create an atmosphere. It triggers an emotional response, and it activates a physical response without any harmful chemicals like we get from wallflowers and candles and all of the other things that we use to make our homes smell nice but really have no therapeutic benefit to them. So if you have a diffuser, I just want to encourage you, keep it running smoothly, which makes sure that every week or so you're running white vinegar through it and using a Q-tip to clean it out. It'll last you much longer and give you a much better response. But I also want to show you, you can just smell oils out of the bottle, or you can put them in your hands and rub and inhale if you want to do that personally. We also recently just started making these they're nasal inhalers. So you don't stick them up your nose, but I have a couple blends in here, like this one's for happy hormones, and they have a little wick in them that diffuses out through here. And I just open it and smell it. And so it's something that you can carry in your purse. You can use at home. Today I was using them in my office while I was working. Here's one called Release Worry. And so those are really great too if you want to smell something different than what you want to have in the diffuser for everybody. So let's talk about the difference between sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system. So the sympathetic nervous system prepares the body for intense physical activity as well as the fight or flight response during any potential danger. So if you felt like some of those pictures at the beginning, you're operating under some stress right now, and you just feel like, sometimes people will say, I feel overwhelmed. That's a sympathetic overload. And so stress can feel like disease in our bodies. Actually, a couple years ago, I got really sick and I was seeing a natural practitioner, and she explained to me how the things that are released through some of these hormones, the body chemicals that are called to action, the glucose and endorphins and adrenaline and cortisol, when stress releases those things into your bloodstream actually, with certain illnesses, will convert those so that your body thinks they're like sugar in your system, and it can make certain disease. I was personally dealing with candida, and so the stress hormones that were released made my body just go, and it flares up some things that you may already be dealing with. And so we can actually have a physical response to what's going on with us emotionally. So stress is the result of conflict. It can be emotional or physical, spiritual or mental. And then we get these negative emotions. We feel stressed out, we're frustrated, we're unhappy. And so the opposite of that would be a parasympathetic response. A parasympathetic response brings us into a state of homeostasis, stable and balanced in equilibrium. So it has the exact opposite effect. It relaxes the body and inhibits the body from overworking. It slows down many of the high energy functions, restores the body to a calm and composed state, peaceful, calm, and aligned. Now, the sympathetic response is not always bad. If you're running a marathon, that rush of adrenaline is going to make sure that you accomplish your goals. And so there are times when we operate under pressure, and that's what we're seeing in the sympathetic response. But we're not meant to stay that way for long periods of time. And when we stay that way, what happens, because our moods are a complex interplay of emotional and physical components, when we stay in that spot of high stress for too long, we begin to see some physical reactions of that. So here's some physical symptoms of anxiety disorder. Take a look at that if you've ever suffered from anxious feelings or anxiety, and see if some of these look familiar to you. So these are some of the ways that something that comes from our emotion actually demonstrates itself through physical responses, okay? And it can look different in anybody, but these are some of the things that you might see. Again, stress can be good. We sharpen each other, and when there's a little bit of friction, sometimes it helps us achieve great results. but we don't want to stay in that spot. We don't want to, sometimes it's okay to come to the top of the hill on the roller coaster and you get that anticipation where your stomach's dropping out, but then it's supposed to end at the bottom of the hill. You're not supposed to stay in that period of feeling uptight like that for long periods of time. So short term, it can improve your cognitive function, it can increase your immune capability and improve productivity and individual response to additional stress. But long term, if you're not at the point where you can still cope adequately, it can lead to these things: poor nutrition, you're not eating right because you're stressed; inadequate sleep because it keeps you up at night; a sedentary lifestyle, because a lot of people I think are suffering with this right now because they're working from home and they're sitting for too long because they're stressed out trying to do things a different way; adrenal fatigue, and of course illness. So when does stress become harmful? Here's some of the physiological changes that you might see that would signal in your body that you're under too much stress and you need to take some action on that. A lack of energy. Maybe you're gaining weight unexpectedly, or you're losing weight unexpectedly because you have a metabolic change because of the way that your body's responding to those stress hormones. Immune suppression, your body just shuts down and gets sick, like the computer shuts down whenever it needs defragged badly. Cognitive disruption, a brain fog, not be able to think clearly. Skin concerns, breakouts and rashes. It can be anything from acne on your face to full-fledged breakout on other parts of your skin, even yeast infections and things like that. Cardiovascular distress and digestive difficulty. You're going to see in a minute why digestive difficulty is a big one that's associated with this. So I want to reiterate that what you feel emotionally becomes how you feel physically. It's a natural link. Some people will say that we have three brains, that we have our actual brain in our head, that we have the brain in our heart, and that we have the brain in our gut. And those three things, they're neurotransmitters, that's a whole nother class, but run back and forth in between those three areas. So there is no way that we can't be connected in mind, body, and spirit, because we are connected. So one will impact another. So let's talk really quickly about cellular support for the three brains. So I'm reading another book right now that's just fantastic, and it's by Tom Rath, I think his last name is, and he's the author of this Clifton Strength Finders books, Strength-Based Leadership and Strengths 2.0. And he wrote another book called Eat, Move, Sleep. And so those are three things that personally we've been working on as goals because we don't always do a great job of self-care. And so in trying to be more productive, especially in uncertain times, those three things are keys. And interestingly enough, they correspond to doTERRA's wellness pyramid. The very bottom is eating well. The next is exercise, which is movement. And the third is rest and stress management, which would be sleep. So eat, move, sleep. If you want some good practical advice as you're trying to make some changes and adjust your mood, that's a great book to pick up. But when we need the proper vitamins and minerals and supplementation to make sure that we're eating well and getting the nutrition that we need. So personally, in our family, we take this Lifelong Vitality Pack every day, which is like a superfood smoothie that our body knows exactly how to process. And it just is absorbed in a way that really elevates our nutrition on a cellular level. Yes, we try to eat as clean as possible, but it's impossible to get all of our nutrients through our diet. And so we need these healthy fats and micronutrients and vitamins and minerals as well. And this is such an excellent pack that's been approved by both Kevin's and my doctors. And they've actually switched us off of some other things and said this is an amazing supplemental program for us to take. In addition, when you're looking at addressing I can talk oils all day that will help with emotions, but if we have a weak foundation, then anything we do to beautify our home or the home that we live in is just going to be Band-Aids on it if we don't address our shifting foundations. So gut cleansing is really imperative for clear thinking and improving mood. So one of the four things that people always say about being on Lifelong Vitality is that they have not only improved immunity and less pain, but that they have a better mood. In addition to that, we're going to talk a second about gut health and how important that is in your emotions. But specifically, two of these, we try to do a cleanse like once a quarter, but we do take this PB Assist and the TerraZyme regularly every day to make sure that our gut health is in the best possible position. So let's talk about that a little bit. The PB Assist Plus is a probiotic that is just, the delivery system is different than anything that's on the market. It has prebiotics and probiotics on it to really restore balance to the gut flora that we have, the intestinal flora in our gut, and it supports healthy immunity. And because of the way it's encapsulated, it doesn't, the prebiotic part breaks open in our upper GI system. The probiotic, that's the green part. The bottom part, the double encapsulation, most probiotics are absorbed by your stomach acid and destroyed. A lot of the good bacteria is destroyed by your stomach acids before it gets to your lower intestines. This PB Assist doesn't break open until it gets to your lower intestines, so you get more of the healthy gut flora. There's also already 6 billion CFUs in there anyway, but more of that is going to make it to your lower gut. So that's imperative for good gut health. And TerraZyme is the other. It's not just a digestive enzyme, but it's responsible for helping aid in all of these enzymatic processes in our body. So the metabolic enzymes and the healthy digestion of food is so imperative, having a healthy gut. Now, let me just say really quickly, you're like, why are vitamins important to mood? Here's why. So a large part of your immunity, 60 to 70% minimum, is regulated by your gut, but up to 90% of the neurotransmitter serotonin, which, what does serotonin do? It makes sure that you're having healthy sleep patterns, and it influences your mood and all of those things. 90% of that is produced in your gut. So if you're not feeding your gut with the right things, both with food and with vitamins and minerals and the right kind of enzymes and probiotics, there's a breakdown in that, and it will impact your mood because your serotonin production is inhibited. So let's talk real quick about the stress axis. So when you have a stressful event, you have a chemical response and then physiological changes, and then your body feeds back off of that, okay? So we're gonna talk right now, tonight, we're gonna talk about the adaptive system, and then tomorrow night, we're gonna talk about a couple of other products that our emotional aromatherapy line and some of our mood oils. But tonight, I really wanted to dive into this because it's one of doTERRA's newest products, and it's amazing. People are seeing amazing results from it. And it really is going to show results in two stress pathways, the central nervous system and the olfactory pathway. So we're going to speed through this pretty quickly. And then I have tons of testimonials and stuff if anybody wants more information on that. So we're going to talk first about, this is an essential oil. This is a touch roller ball that's pre-diluted for topical application, or it also comes in the adaptive oil that you can put in a diffuser or use aromatically as well. The adaptive calming capsules are actually a supplement that is geniusly formulated to work with the neurotransmitter system. So it addresses both of these pathways. So I'm not going to go deep into the science for lack of time, and also I'd rather share videos since science is not my forte, but these are some of the things that are in this dietary supplement that's to be taken, especially during the daytime, just as calming and brain to address mental wellness and to address stress as well. So basically, when the adaptive system was created for mind and mood wellness, these are the areas that we're looking at: stress, focus, mood, and rest. And so many people are dealing with some kind of struggle in those areas. So this system was formulated specifically to impact rest, stress, focus, and mood. So when you look at the three different products here, it's uplifting. Some of the oils that are in this, it's a blend. So it has lavender, magnolia, neroli, sweet gum, wild orange, spearmint, copaiba, and rosemary. Beautiful blend. You can diffuse the one, you can apply the other on your wrists and your neck. And then of course the supplement you can use, it has lavender, coriander, wild orange, and fennel, which would be the oils. And then it also has these beautiful supplemental things like ahi flower and GABA and scutellum in it as well that are very supportive to the mood. And it's a natural substance that you won't experience side effects with like you would with a traditional maybe some kind of chemical induced substance. So another thing that's important, remember we talked eat, move, and sleep. So supplementation, movement, and sleep. So the adaptive line helps with that, and also adding some kind of movement to your daily routine. A sedentary lifestyle just really ups our stress level. So daily activity of some kind, it can look different for everybody. Some people it might be yoga, some people it might be playing with your kids outside. Just some kind of movement is a critical component, not just of keeping your body in shape, but just mental wellness. We struggle with this in our household. Right now, we've been getting out the Wii Fit and just doing something to move together and laugh as a family. I don't know how fit we're getting on that, but we're moving and our heart rate is getting up at least. And so we're going to call that a win for right now. Our daughter loves to jump on the trampoline. The rest of us, not so much, but family walks, whatever it takes, just do something to move. So let's look at this whole supplementation program. So the supplementation, in addition to these calming capsules, which are great to take during the day for mental wellness, doTERRA also has, we're going to talk more about the Serenity Blend tomorrow night, but there's a Serenity Restful Complex as well that can be taken at nighttime for restful sleep. And it is amazing. So you can take these two together even. I've had some trouble sleeping lately, and I'll take both of them together, but adaptive really is meant to be taken during the daytime as well. Serenity, you probably pass out if you take during the daytime. It does kind of bring you down to sleep. So you want to keep that one for nighttime only. And then the foundational for the PB Assist and the Terrazyme and the Lifelong Vitality Pack. Those are your foundational nutrition to really work within this whole model. So I also want to say with what we just read, when we're talking about mental and emotional wellness, because God made our bodies and all the emotions and hormones and chemical responses they contain, his word provides wisdom on how to manage it all. Here's a key piece of wisdom written by the Apostle Paul. Don't be anxious for anything, but in every situation, by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, present your requests to God. And the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and your mind in Christ Jesus. Finally, brothers and sisters, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about such things. Whatever you have learned or received or heard from me or seen in me, put it into practice, and the God of peace will be with you. Philippians 4:6-9. That's my prayer for you tonight, but really thoughts, addressing our thought life in addition to some of these things that can aid us in calming ourselves can make such a difference in us being able to keep our stuff together right now. But these are some questions you might want to ask yourself. What do I need to weed out? What's toxic in my life that I need to just get out of my mind and my heart? What do I want to plant? What do I want to tell myself every day? Or what do I need to add to my system to come to a more healthy state? And how will I nourish this seed? Well, how will I do it more than once? It's not enough just to plant it in the ground. How are you going to water it and give it sunshine and make sure that it grows with consistency? So I just want to really quickly, for those of you who do not yet have these products in your home, anybody who has essential oils already, if you haven't tried the adaptive line, that's for you to be able to try. But the best way, whoever invited you tonight, or you can come on over to the Quest group and ask these questions, but none of us like to pay full price for these, and there is an amazing way that you can get a discount on them and a discount on everything you buy from here on out. But I do want to tell you that Adaptive has now become an enrollment kit, and you can also get started with a free membership and a couple of oils and the adaptive line if that's something that interests you tonight, and get some free stuff with it. So please talk to the person who invited you or refer. I'd be happy to help you with that as well. But I wish you good health and wholeness, and we're going to dive deeper into this tomorrow, and I'll be posting some more things throughout the day. But Adaptive is just an incredible system. There's a new app that's a meditation and mindfulness app that goes with it. I also do a scripture meditation app every day. So if you need to get good thoughts into your mind, connect with me on those 2 things, because remember, how you think, the power of positive thinking really impacts the response that you're going to have. So we're going to do a giveaway based on this whole week. So please interact in the group, and I hope you were able to get your questions answered in the chat tonight. So thank you for coming, everybody. That concludes our class for tonight, and I'll meet you in the group for more classes and discussion.
Julie.
Yes.
What time tomorrow night?
8 o'clock tomorrow night.
8 o'clock tomorrow night, back here. We'll see you guys then.
All righty. Thanks, everyone.